kind of experiment. I was just kind of playing around. I was originally going to do a different idea, but I did not have the clay colors that I needed, so bummer, but I wasn't going to let that stop me from playing with my clay. I have these 3 colors. They're pre-mixed. I've had them in my scrap box, and I just randomly chose these 3 colors because these were the ones that had been mixed with pearl clay, which is what I wanted to do today, was a pearl clay project, but I didn't have pearl clay. So this will work out just fine because I was going to take the pearl clay and then take ink colors and make my own colors, but I had already done that in the past. That's what these were, just a bunch of scraps from pearl clay. So I have these 3. If you're gonna want to do this, then just do 3 different ink colors with some pearl clay. And I did try and get them the same size, thickness and chunk, I guess you could say, because when I'm going to roll it out here in a little while, you kind of want them to be the same size, but you can always cut it down and cut things away if it's not. I'll be using some translucent clay, and I was wanting to see if the pattern was going to kind of show through or kind of stay with the piece throughout, but honestly it kind of loses, I think, a lot of what I was trying to go for. But I'll just kind of explain what I'm doing. I took some translucent clay, 3 different thicknesses or pieces, sizes. You'll see they're different amounts. And then I'm going to mix that with each of them. It doesn't matter which color gets how much. And honestly, you can't see the little swirl design I was trying to go for. You can, as I'm mixing it, but once I'm done, you can't. What I was trying to do was mix in the translucent clay with the pearl clay and not mix it thoroughly. You'll see there, I just showed you, that's all I mixed it. It's not thoroughly mixed at all. So I did that with each 3 of my colors here. And then with each of those, I'm going to roll them into balls. And I'll kind of show you here in a second. You'll see the little swirly pattern I was trying to go for. I've done this in some other projects, and it comes out really, really pretty in the end. But I think with all of the mixing I did, you can't see it in the end. So you'll see there that those pretty little swirl patterns, that is the translucent clay that's not fully mixed in. And it makes this really pretty effect when you bake it. And you can't really see it on this darker color here. And that one I didn't put a lot in either. So it kind of gives the piece a lot of dimension and depth when you mix in the translucent clay with it. But I'm going to make a Skinner blend, and I like to make the teardrop Skinner blend. There's a bunch of different ways to do this, and this is not the video or tutorial for making Skinner blends. So you'll have to check out my previous videos or kind of go online and find the one you like the best. Lay out your colors however you want them to be. I didn't really want the 2 teal colors together. I wanted the pink to kind of separate it, so I chose the lighter color for the middle. You can do it in whatever pattern you want. In the end, it kind of comes out looking like a sunset, and you'll see here after I mix everything what I'm talking about. But just make your Skinner blend. Oh, and I wanted to show you here that you can see the little swirls in there. You'll see there, it comes out a little bit better in the blue when it's stretched out, but definitely in the pink and then that light gray color on the right. But just go ahead and make your Skinner blend. I'm going to use my pasta machine. It really does give you the best Skinner blend. I've done them by hand and just about pulled my hair out. It can be done, but it's just not as quick or effective. But with enough practice, I am sure anything can be done by hand instead of a machine. So give it a go. And there you go. It kind of looks like a sunset. Really pretty colors there you got going on. I do want to kind of stretch this out a little bit and make it thin. I don't want to stretch it out too much, so that's why I did it by hand instead of the pasta machine. You don't want it to get, too wide or too long because of the next steps that we're going to do. I mean, I guess you could make it really long, but you definitely don't want to make it too wide, I would say. You would make it more in length. But totally up to you, as I've always say in my videos, you should experiment and try things because that's the fun part about this. Do what you want and change anything that you want. This would be really pretty if you just cut out some shapes at this point. It makes a really pretty blend of colors, especially once the clay is stretched out. I just love it. So you can do what you want there. I'm going to cut it down so that it's in more of a brick or rectangle shape so that the next step is easier. Just cut away all the scraps, and of course I will make a scrap piece at the end. You'll just want to kind of fold it back and forth, and I guess it's kind of up to you how big or wide you want that to fold lip to be. Like, that's as big as mine's going to be. You can stretch yours out and make it wider, but I think the shorter you make it, the taller your piece, the more of the color blend you're gonna see. So, totally up to you. Like I always say, experiment. Do what you feel is in your heart, guys. Nah, just kidding. I just keep flipping it back and forth and kind of making like an accordion, if you will. I'll have a little bit left over there at the end I can just cut off. And I was going in between each layer and doing a very light roll, and that's just to get out any air bubbles. It actually was quite effective. I really liked that. Cut your ends down. I didn't cut the sides. I'll cut those as I make my cuts. If you wanted to go ahead and cut it now, you could. But I want to do something with the scraps at the end, so it kind of worked out well this way. I do like to go and kind of like pre-measure a couple of notches and then cut off one test piece and kind of try out what I'm going to do before I continue. So I know how, wide each piece needs to be. And inevitably, if I just make one cut and then I do what I'm doing and I go back, I never make the same size piece. So I try to kind of make a couple of notches. I cut one off. I cut off the little side pieces and I'm putting those aside. I'm just laying them out flat. I'm not stacking them or anything. I'm going to use those for scrap clay project at the end. And then you'll just want to roll it up so that you have your three colors going from left to right or right to left. And you don't want to roll it up the other way because you're not going to get this effect. It'll roll up the opposite way and it won't look like this at all. So you do want, your little ribbon colors to show through just the same as it does when you did your Skinner blend there. And then roll it just gently. I'm not trying to elongate it too much, so I just want to make sure I pinch in the sides. And I'm not like rolling it with force. Basically, I want to get that crease out as much as possible and make it, a cohesive blend of a tube to get everything together. Now you'll see there at the back, you do get the little bit of the lip where the seam is. It's smooth, but you'll just flip it over and that was going to be on the back side. You're never going to see it, so it's okay. And then just keep going until you have all of yours cut. I ended up making mine a little bit longer in length so that you could see it a little bit better. I have all of my pieces cut. And I didn't make a lot, so obviously you'll make more if you want to make a whole bunch of pieces. But really, I was just kind of experimenting with the translucent clay in here, so, you can kind of play with it too. Then just decide how you want yours to lay out. I was trying to decide if I wanted to go from like blue down into the gray and then gray back down into the blue, or if I wanted to do the opposite. Like at the very bottom there, you'll see. But, I just decided to go ahead and do just 2 rows. And then I do want it to go I want it to go blue, pink, gray. Blue, pink, gray. Instead of the blue, pink, gray, gray, pink, blue. You know what I'm saying, guys. And then the 2 ends that are going to connect, you do want them to be flush, obviously. So just cut away so that you have a nice straight line, or as straight as possible. We're not going for perfection here. And don't worry about the line that you're going to see in the piece, because we're going to do some stuff and it's going to look just splendid, folks. And be sure to save all of your scraps, guys. Whew, they make the most beautiful pieces. I tend to like those better than the piece I made. Shh, don't tell anybody. Put your two pieces together. I tried to line them up as best as possible, like the tube. And you don't want it to be like offset or anything. You want the tube to look like it's going straight across. We're going to take care of that line in the middle. This is some of the extra clay I had. So I'm just going to kind of make a backing piece for mine. You can use any color you want. If you want to use translucent clay, you can use that and color it and put it on the back. I don't think you're really going to be able to tell or see it, so it's all good. Then take your little tubulars and put them on top of your clay. Now I'm going to lightly dab it. I'm trying not to get rid of the circular, domed, oval kind of a look it's got going there. I don't want it to be smooth. I make a lot of things smooth, and I was like, this time I am not going to go for perfection. It doesn't need to be smooth. I'm going to enjoy the splendid little mishaps here. It looks really pretty from the side too, and that actually gave me inspiration for what's going to be the next video. Spoiler alert, but shh, you'll have to wait and see. And then I'm going to cut out my shape. I do like that domed look, so using some plastic to cut mine out. And then I'll just kind of perfect it a little bit, because my circle is not as perfect as one might think, okay? All right, so we're going to get rid of that little line in the middle. These are the pieces that I had cut away. So I saved them, put them to the side. This is just some of that solid color that's the backing. I rolled it out and then kind of twisted it, because it's got the pearl clay and the translucent clay in there. When you twist it, it makes like this little swirl pattern that hopefully you saw when it was on screen. But I'm just kind of like playing with it here and deciding which piece I want to go in the middle, which thing I like the best. So I had a whole bunch of different options from all of the scraps that I had cut. And then I really liked these little like pieces that were cut from the end of the tubes before I rolled them up. So those are what I saved, and you'll see there the little lines in there. It came out really pretty because of the difference in the types of clay in there. These are so tiny and delicate. I was like, oh, hands are shaking. Gotta get these things on here. Oh boy. So you can kind of do what you want, of course. And then once I had those all lined up, I just wanted to make sure that I had a piece that was long enough that was going to go over my final beautiful piece. Kind of getting it all stuck together. I don't want to roll this out because I don't want it to be thinner, and I don't want to mess up that pretty pattern that's in there. So I kind of just played with it with my fingers and smoothed everything out, and then just cut off the two very thin edges, and then delicately set that down along that crevice that goes all the way from one end to the other. And then I'll just cut off any of the excess that kind of goes over. So I'm just pulling it down and over the side, which I actually did a pretty good job in measuring. I only had to cut away just an itty bitty tiny little scotch. I really like the way this came together, honestly. I really wasn't sure what to expect because I was trying to make something else. Happy little mistakes. Aw, Bob Ross. I miss that guy. That guy was a fun-loving dude, let me tell you. I do like to paint and draw and stuff, so I do find inspiration in his works because he was a genius. Man was a genius. That, and he's just so calm. Watch him on YouTube. Just so calm. He seems like he really, really, really loved what he did. And I think that's awesome. I cut out a center piece, and then it'll be my top and bottom. And then these are all of the little scraps. So I kind of wanted to continue the trend. The chunk of clay there I'm not going to use. I'm going to put that aside. I'll probably end up mixing it and making a new color with all of the extras that I have left. But with all of the other pieces, I am going to kind of just cut them all down into little strips, just like the little pieces there on the left. So I'm going to get a bunch of little tiny little spaghetti pieces and get them all cut up. And if you wanted to, you could just kind of mix everything up in a big ball and then roll it out. But I was kind of going for trying to be a little bit more of a pattern here. This is my pile. It kind of looks like a little pile of scrap metal. You could take some of these and then just like sprinkle it on top of a solid colored clay. I think that would be kind of fun, and you know, see what kind of pattern you can get and then cut out shapes. Just like a solid color with little squigglies in it. But I decided to go ahead and just kind of mush it all together and just smush it together with my fingers. Roll it out a little bit. And like I did in the previous project here, I didn't want to completely perfect out all of the nooks and crannies. I thought that that might give it a little bit more character, and that way it wasn't like all kind of mushed up. So you'll see there I left some little cracks and stuff. I don't know, it kind of reminds me of more of a more natural rock shape or gem shape or stone shape because it's got all those imperfections in it. So that's what I was kind of going for. So this is the piece that I had, and then I just cut out my shape for it. And I decided to go ahead and play around with my little round cutters since they weren't that great anyway. And I pinched it, and then like I wanted to make like an oval shape. This piece was just screaming, "I'm an oval!" And it held up, so that's good. And I kind of just pinched my circle cutter back together, right? And then this is the only scraps that I have, plus all of the colors from the very beginning. So I'm probably just going to mix all those together and make a pretty color out of it and then use it again in a future project. Again, I'm kind of doing the same thing I did with the first one and just cutting out a centerpiece from my shape, and then that will be the top piece for my piece. And there you go. I really like this because usually I'll put like paint in between lines and stuff to give it that sectioned look, but because the pieces are raised, it kind of naturally has those little lines in there and the boundaries. It looks very natural, and I really like it. And then the back is just very plain. And then this is the scrap piece. I really like the way it came out. I actually like both of these equally in their own ways, I think. Normally, I do like the scrap better. I'm just going to be honest. It just makes the prettiest pieces. I like that the front and the back is the same on this one, too. Unlike the previous one, it's got that solid back. I like it when the front and backs match. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!